Hey guys, it's Luna, and I wanted to kind of share a little bit of, I don't know, really know. I wanted to kind of share why I haven't been uploading much to my channel. And that's because of some life updates. There's been a lot going on in my life that I haven't really talked about on here. Specifically, changes in my identity, pronouns and whatnot. I don't remember if I made a video of me coming out as NB, non-binary, or the fact that I'm trans. Makes it obvious, right? Kind of obvious. But, it's been quite the year so far. We're almost halfway through the year. It's 2024. And it seems like this year's gone by kind of fast. But, a lot has happened. I haven't been uploading much because I get distracted and ADHD brain. Yeah, I'm diagnosed with ADHD now. Woohoo, more medication. But there's also been a lot of changes. And I wanted to kind of talk to you about that. Well, first off, I wanted to say that last year I got diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, otherwise known as DID. Previously known as multiple personality disorder, but that got changed because it's not really a personality disorder, it's more of an identity thing, where I have different parts that are their each own person, their each own identity. And it's been a wild ride. I mean, I knew that I had DID back in 2020, after doing research and discovering that the voices that I was hearing weren't actually hallucinations, but they were inside. And then I started seeing the voices inside, not feeling like I wasn't alone all the time. Never alone. But that was not really a shock, but more of a, wow, this is real. I don't have to worry about people not believing me. But then the reality hits that DID is a response of childhood trauma. I'm not really going to get into the details, but yeah, I did experience a certain amount of trauma when I was a kid, unfortunately, due to me being vulnerable and not trusting friends that weren't actually my friends, who ended up manipulating and abusing me. But also, rough home environment. But yeah, all of that contributing to my brain being like, enough is enough. Yeah. So, been working with a therapist for about a year now, and she's amazing. But it hits hard when you realize that you've gotten so much, you have a lot going on in your life, and it's a hard thing. It's difficult because you've got a lot to process, and you go through this 5 stages of grief, or if there are more stages. But yeah, you go through like a certain amount of periods where you don't want to accept it, or you're upset, or you're trying to be like, if I had done this, I would have done that. Then the depression, and then of course the acceptance, or the moving on from it. But do we ever really move on from our trauma? From the events, the shocking events in our lives? Do we ever really move on from that? No, not really. I mean, I still have periods of of time where I'm just like, I'm upset about what happened, or I'm mad, or I'm just really depressed about it. And could be mechanisms to play games or make videos or sing and cosplay and do art. But it's when all that is said and done, you come back to the reality of, hey, my life is my life. And yeah. Also, if you're wondering why my voice is a little bit different, I'm trying to do vocal training, but at the same time, I'm trying to make my voice a little bit more androgynous, where you can't really tell if I'm a guy or if a girl. I mean, although, a while back, I don't remember what year it was, probably 2021 or 2022, when I was on TikTok for a while. Still am. You can follow me on there if you want. Just gotta be 18 at least to follow me, because my account is 18 plus. Not in that way. I just don't feel comfortable having minors following me on my social media, on TikTok. YouTube's fine. I don't really care. Sorry, I'm a little dissociated, because, yeah, I had someone ask me if I was a trans man, and I was like, no, but I appreciate you telling me that, because that made me feel good, indicating that they saw me and they didn't think I was a girl, and I was like, yeah, that's all I really want. But yeah, my life's update, ever since COVID started, I feel as if my life has kind of gone downhill, because depression hit. I graduated high school literally in 2020, so we were all in lockdown because the pandemic was going on, and we didn't really have graduation, which was like, it was nice for me because I didn't want to be in that super crowded building where everyone was cheering, and with the loudness, and it's overwhelming. But it was kind of sad because I wasn't with my friends, or I wasn't with my peers or my classmates. So yeah, I didn't really get a chance to say goodbye to my teachers, the ones that I actually really did care about, or the ones that cared about me. Yeah, so we had the graduation. And then life kind of hit more. Life continued to hit. I started college. Switched to a new psychiatrist, switched therapists, because I needed therapy. I was like off therapy for like maybe a year or a couple months, because my last one was on maternity leave because she had a baby, so stopped seeing her after a while, and then saw a new therapist for depression and PTSD. So I got diagnosed with that, yay. But then I was talking to my parents saying, I want to get a diagnosis for DID, or at least association. They were like, are you really a system? And I'm like, yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. You're just faking it. No, I'm not doing this for attention. Yeah. Oh, so with the diagnoses, getting seeing a therapist and getting diagnosed with DID, life was changing for me. And it makes sense because, I mean, before all of that, I was going through a really difficult time with depression. I was refusing to talk about stuff, refusing to get out of bed. medication just was a lot. Then I lost my best friend, or one of my best friends. They unfortunately took their own life. Sorry, trigger warning. They took their life. And I didn't know until I woke up one day and I was gonna go to work. I didn't find out until like an hour before I was supposed to head to work, because yeah, I had a job, but it only lasted a couple of months, because then the losing my friend hit, and then 2 months after that I was just like, I can't do this anymore. So I resigned. I sent in my resignation, and I was like, yeah, as much as I would love to work here, I just can't right now, because depression and PTSD, but also the fact that I was still in grief mode of losing my friend. So yeah, they were close. They were good. They were a good friend. They were a system. They had DID just like we did, so we connected through TikTok because of that. They were in and out of intensive care, but we would communicate. I'd send them videos, and they'd send me back. We were both emo, so we both listened to like Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, and yeah, so they were a good friend. I miss them, but I know that they were going through a difficult time, and as much as I wish that they hadn't done what they did, I know that they're in a better place now. Yeah. Lost my best friend in 2021. Started an intensive outpatient program. And then in 2022, I moved out of my dad's house because I was facing a lot of, I don't like saying the word, but unfortunately I was facing some abuse from him, where I didn't really feel like I had space or to talk, or just that he wasn't really understanding me. And I love my dad. I mean, he's a good guy, but he has a lot of anger, and he has a lot of I feel like he has a lot of things he needs to work out, and I wish he would just go to see a therapist, respectfully. Yeah, I moved out. I moved out because I ended up being in the hospital, which was not fun, where the doctors didn't really do anything. I was just basically put in a room where all my stuff got taken away, even including my phone. So I couldn't really call. I couldn't watch videos for a while. I had to be in bed, basically in these ridiculously disturbing clothes. All I had to keep was my stuffy, and a book. That was it. They also had to draw blood, which was not fun, because I don't know, they thought maybe I was on medication, or I had, taken something to, try to stop the bleed. But I tried saying no. They said that they had to, and I was like, oh, okay, fine, well, great. I realize now that wasn't what they were supposed to do. That I have every right to say no, because it's my body, my choice. Bit of manipulation for that. And I was in the hospital for like 4 or 5 hours, and they didn't give me my medication. I hadn't taken my medication, and they didn't give it to me. So yeah, so those doctors suck, and that's why I don't want to go back. But I had to go back because I actually had a medical episode where I was hyperventilating a lot due to anxiety, and I couldn't stop. So, but at least I got to keep my stuff for that one. My mom was there, so yeah. So November of 2022, I moved here. I moved here to my mom's, and yeah. I took a break from school, and then fall fall of last year, I ended up doing a science class, but then I stopped because I just needed a break because my mental health was getting bad again. And then February of this year, tragedy struck my family. I lost my uncle. My uncle passed away February. Oh God, it's still very hard to talk about. February, my uncle passed away. He was shot and killed by the police. The night that my uncle died, yeah, so my uncle was an addict. He had a bit of a tough life growing up because his sister, my aunt, had passed away 2 months after I was born because she had a bad heart. She had a hole in her heart, so she needed a new heart, but she died before she could get. I think the story is that they were able to get the donor, but they were able to get the donor, but she died on the operating table. So right before she could get her new heart, she passed away, and it hit hard for my uncle. My uncle was never really got a lot of attention because my grandparents were so focused on my aunts trying to get her to get better. So my uncle turned to, drugs, and he became addicted, and he was in and out of rehab, in and out of jail, because he would get arrested and go in, then he would bail out, and then he'd be right back in the streets. He'd be clean, and then he would start up again. One night he was walking in the middle of the street. It was night, and he was high. He was on drugs or something. He was on something. He got hit by a car. He ended up in the hospital. And when I heard about that, I was like, I told my dad that I'm worried that if he continues to do this, he's gonna end up worse than just in the hospital. And my dad said that he hopes that it doesn't get worse. I didn't know that I had foreshadowed that. I was worried that he was gonna die. And I basically predicted it. I just didn't know how at the time, but I always worried that he was gonna get into trouble. He ended up being clean. After he got out of the hospital, he ended up being clean for an entire year. So proud of him for that. An entire year, he'd work. He was really good to kids. And when he was off with the drugs, you could see who he really was. He was a really good person. It's just the drugs made him seem like he wasn't, but in reality he was. But yeah. My a couple days before he died, my dad went to Arizona. I don't remember what for. I think it was to visit my grandmother, so his mom. Because she lives all the way in Arizona, and his fiance, so my dad's fiance, aka my stepmom, she had like a business meeting there, so she was gonna stay for longer than he was gonna be. My dad found out while he was in Arizona that my uncle had passed, and told my mom. And then the next day after he passed, my mom told me, and I broke down crying. I was a mess. For an entire week, I stayed in bed, and I did not get out of bed because I just couldn't focus. When my dad found out, he planned to fly home, and I spent some time with him, my dad, and we were talking about what had happened, and he was just trying to make sure that I was okay. Because I'm not very good at handling grief. I'm not good at loss. Handling change or dealing with loss, especially if it's someone that I love. Someone very close to me dies. It's hard. And I'm always worried that someone's gonna take my family member away from me, or they're gonna die at a old age. But this one, because my uncle was 30, was in his 30s. He was still young. He had a whole life ahead of him. The last gift I ever received from my uncle was him making a video for me for my graduation, my high school graduation. And it showed that he did very much care about me. He cared about my family. And that, seeing him, he was a good person. He was a very good person. And I miss him all the time. I miss him every day. He made some bad decisions, but yeah. When I was talking with my grandparents when my dad went to go down to North Carolina to see my grandparents, so my abuelo and my abuela, so his dad and his stepmom, my abuela talked to me, and she was telling me all these things and checking in with me, and she said that the day before he passed, he gave her this giant hug, and he was saying that he wanted to go back to rehab. He knew that he was going to start up again, or he was starting to start up the drugs again, so he wanted to go to rehab, and that's what he told my abuela. And she said, "Don't do anything stupid." That was the last thing she ever said to him. Don't do anything stupid. The night that he was killed, he was hanging out with friends when all of a sudden something inside of him snapped, and he ended up punching someone in the face, and so an altercation happened. He bear with me. He ended up leaving the scene, I don't know if that was him trying to get away, or if that was him trying to like walk away and trying to collect himself. I want to think of it as I want to think that the second reason is the reason why he left, to just kind of decompress and try to get his to get rid of the emotions, you know. The police were called, of course, and the officer there knew, so they knew my uncle, they knew him, and they were trying to talk to him. He was refusing to listen. He tried to fight them. Again, this was the drugs working, so it wasn't, while it was him, it wasn't him at the same time. It was the drugs making him act that way, and he ended up fighting them. And, he was tased. They tased him. Got him to the ground. He tried to fight them again. He was tased again. His last words were, "Is that all you got?" He tried to fight them, and he ended up grabbing something, and he tried to attack the police with it. The officer, I don't know the officer's name, but one of the officers pulled out his gun and shot him. He ended up hitting him in the chest. So right where his heart, so like, I think like right here where his heart is, or his lung, I don't remember. I don't know. There's a lot of details, and there's so much information out there that I don't know what's true or what isn't. He ended up collapsing. The officer was shocked and devastated that he did that. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. He didn't die at the hospital. He died on the spot. From what I've heard, the officer was put on administrative leave. There is an investigation going on. My abuelo has an attorney, because they're going to take this to court. My dad went with my abuelo to the police station to get information, and the sheriff there, the sheriff or the deputy, basically said that he was really sorry for our loss, and that they were doing everything that they could because of the investigation, but there really isn't anything we can do except for wait for results. Autopsy, we don't know, but I'm very positive that he was on something, like he was high. When I asked my dad the day that I found out if there was news, if he was on the news, my uncle, he said that there had been a post online about it. Cherryville, North Carolina. It happened in the afternoon, so afternoon Eastern time. I think it was 1 p.m. I don't remember. But yeah. So if anyone has heard the news, if anyone heard like news about a man getting shot by the police after he tried to attack them sometime in February, that's my uncle. I don't want people to say that he was crazy. I don't want there to be rumors about him. And if there are, you don't know the full story. You never know the full story. And I wanted to say, I want to say to the officer that shot my uncle, you could have tased him again. Or at least fired at something that wasn't his chest. Like his arm or his leg. Anything to make him drop whatever it was that he had. But instead you fired at him. You shot and you killed him. I hope justice is taken. I would like for that officer to be fired. Or suspended at least. And I want my uncle, I want the autopsy results, and I want there to be peace. I want my uncle to be buried in the cemetery. I want him to be buried next to my aunt, so those two can be together. There's a lot that I want, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. But yeah. To end this video on a positive note, on a bit of a happy ending for this, even though it wasn't a happy ending. The night I found out, I fell asleep. And I've talked about my experiences with religion and spiritual energy on here before. My uncle came to me in a dream. He visited me. I remember I was sitting in the car on the passenger side. And I saw my uncle walk up. My uncle walked up to me, opened the door. My uncle was a tall dude, so he was like, I don't know how tall he was, but he was like pretty tall. And that's me comparing myself to him. He was like maybe like 5'9", 5'10". I'm 5'1", so little me. So this is me. This is my uncle. So I'm just like that, looking up at him. But he leans down, and he has this giant smile on his face. And I look over to him, and I'm like, Tommy. And he goes, it's me. I said, are you really here? And he goes, I am. And I'm like, am I dreaming? You are. But I'm here. I gave him a hug. And warmth flooded my body. And he looked at me and he said, I'm okay. I'm okay. And then he walked away. My uncle is in a better place now. And I guess it was just his time. And while he lost his battle to addiction, he's in a better place. He's with his sister. He's with my aunt. And I'm glad that he's able to see her again. If you aren't religious, that's fine. If you are, I want to say that God is with him. He's with God, and I like to believe that he is spending time and catching up with my aunt, talking about things, listening to music. Yeah. Sorry about that. I didn't really want this to be a really long or sad video. It was basically me just trying to let you guys know what's been going on. Why I haven't been uploading much, but I'm gonna try and start doing that again. If you haven't already checked out the latest video that I uploaded, I ended up playing Baldur's Gate, and it's really fun. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing the indie campaigns as much, because I had to leave the campaign due to depression, and of course, the loss of my uncle. But hopefully, if I ever do start doing Dungeons and Dragons again, I might record it. We'll see. But in the meantime, if you guys want to go watch me play some Baldur's Gate, go check it out. It was annoying, but it was worth it. Alright, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And if you are going through a difficult time, know that you are loved. And grief, it's temporary. We will get through it. Yes, it will. Yes, it comes and goes, but we can get through it. We're strong. We're all human. We can get through this together. All right. Love you guys, and I'll see you soon with a new video.